Part 3. Analyzing Images. I will present this part by the three aspects. First, the process of analyzing images. Second, the approaches of analyzing images. Third, detailed introduction of approaches. Firstly, let's talk about the process of analyzing images. The process of coding involves aggregating qualitative data into a small number of units of information. These units are known as codes and are assigned meaningful labels. These codes are then grouped into broader units of information known as themes, which discussed in Chapter 18. Coding images follows the same general process, but we have different options for how to divide the data into smaller units, and the options depend on the type of data. Secondly, let's talk about approaches of analyzing images. For one, images might be considered a form of observation, whereby the researcher is observing the image and assigns codes to the entire image. Another approach is to attach codes to aspects and areas of the image. Finally, when using visual elicitation methods, the researcher codes the transcript of the discussion. As mentioned, one option is to view an image as an observation and record notes about the image. The notes then become the data source for the coding process. However, the researcher can also code the image itself by looking for unique features, the presence or absence of something, or something about the shot itself. The researcher can tag these features by hand or by using a computer-assisted qualitative data analysis software application. Regardless of the technique, the process consists of 8 steps. Step 1. Prepare your data for analysis. If hand coding, print each image with a wide margin to allow space to assign the code labels. If using a computer, import all images into the application. Step 2. Code the image by tagging areas of the image and assigning code labels. Some codes might involve metadata. Step 3. Compile all the codes for the images on a separate sheet. Next, Step 4. Review the codes to eliminate redundancy and overlap. This step also begins to reduce the codes to potential themes. Step 5. Group codes into themes that represent common ideas. Step 6. Assign the codes and themes to 3 groups: expected codes and themes, surprising codes and themes, and unusual codes and themes. In the following is Step 7. Array the codes and themes into the conceptual map that shows the flow of ideas in the finding section. The last step, Step 7, Step 8. Write a narrative for each theme that will go into the finding section of a study, or for a general summary that will go into the discussion section as the overall findings in the study. Next approach is semiotic approach. One common interpretive framework for image coding is semiotic analysis. When using semiotic analysis, Penn, in the year 2000, recommended dividing the coding task into two aspects. The first aspect involves describing what the image denotes. The second aspect focuses on the connotation, the high-level significance ascribed to the image. In other words, when determining connotation, the researcher asks, what does the image mean? The process of semiotic analysis consists of 5 interrelated procedures. First, you might begin by paying attention to the context of an image. Consider where the image came from, who took the photograph, where the photographer was positioned, and the setting. The next step is to describe what the image denotes. The focus of determining what an image denotes is to determine the overt textual features found in the image. The third step is to identify the intertextual references that relate the image to other genres or uses of visual codes. 4. It's important to anchor the image with any text that may be present. Drawings often include text, but photographs often have signs and other text in the background. The analytic question here is, what do the visual and linguistic elements communicate together? The final procedure of semiotic analysis is to identify the connotation of the image. In light of the previous procedures, this one ascribes the overall meaning of the image. Then let's talk about analysis of video and film. Researchers might gather existing video or films to conduct analysis. The first task is then determined what material to select. The sampling. Rose, in the year 2000, recommended first transcribing the audio into text, followed by creating a 2-column versions of the transcript. You can see the table here. One column contains the verbal transcription with time points, and the second contains the visual features. Noting that time points preserves the temporal aspects of the video. The visual aspects recorded depend on the units of analysis. Potential units of analysis include scene changes, persons involved in the scene, and camera shots. The last approach, visual elicitation data analysis, will be presented here. Using photo elicitation methods, participants take photographs and participate in a facilitated group discussion. Similarly, the researcher may empower the participants to select scenes to photograph and use the resulting image as a discussion point to elicit conversation. Then, the goal of the discussion is to identify main issues, themes, or theories that arise through the discussion. And Wang and Redwood Jones in the year 2001 provided a framework of discussion that they termed SHOWED. These questions were set around the mnemonic SHOWED. What do you see here? What's really happening? How does this relate to our lives? Why does this problem or strengths exist? What can we do about it? Then the researcher may use this framework as a basis but should remain flexible as the discussion evolves. The general idea is that ensuring group discussion will clarify meaning and ultimately lead to richer data. As a photo voice researcher, you then analyze data arising through the discussion. This requires recording and transcribing the discussion. Coding and analysis then follow the typical technique to analyze the text of the transcript. A systematic text analysis involves identifying segments of text that have meaning and assigning codes to those segments. In the write-up, you should note which photographs were selected in discussion and why. With appropriate permission, you might consider including some of the photographs in the findings section to better convey the study to the reader. Now, let's make a summary. The skill introduced in this chapter is to develop an understanding of the types of images and analysis procedures for visual data that may be useful in our qualitative research. Videos, photos, film, and drawings represent the types of visual data with different characters. And these types of data can be collected by different ways. Such data collection involves the participants taking pictures or having the researcher generate images. Then we shared, in all of these data collection procedures, potential drawbacks and ethical concerns need to be observed. At last, we should know, analyzing images depends on the types of data collected, and analysis might take the form of observational techniques, semiotic approaches of describing what the images denote and the significance of the images, analysis of images and sound in videos, and video elicitation approaches. That's the end. Thank you for listening.